You know those mornings where you're sort of doom scrolling through your phone, barely awake, coffee hasn't hit yet,
Oh, yeah.
and you see a headline that says something like, "Eating chocolate before breakfast makes you a genius."
Mm-hmm.
And for like a split second, you just want to believe it so badly. You're literally reaching for a Kit Kat thinking, finally, science is on my side.
It's the dream, isn't it? But then, if you keep scrolling, the very next headline is, video games cause crime, followed immediately by, coffee makes you live forever, and then 3 posts down, coffee is killing you.
Exactly. It's absolute chaos. We are constantly bombarded with these facts about human behavior or health, and it's confusing because they all claim to be based on studies.
Right.
But honestly, how do we actually know if any of this is true? Is it real science, or is it just, I don't know, a coincidence?
Or worse, is it just clickbait designed to sell you more coffee?
Yeah.
That is the million-dollar question. And that is exactly what we are here to figure out. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are not just talking about feelings or, lying on a couch telling a therapist about our dreams. We are looking under the hood of how psychology actually works as a science.
We're decoding the toolkit. Because I think a lot of people assume psychology is just intuition or people making good guesses. But we've got a stack of research notes here that breaks down the rigorous methods psychologists use. It's actually more like detective work than I realized.
Ideally, yes. It's a systematic way of asking questions. We're going to look at the 3 big buckets of research today.
Okay.
Descriptive, which is like taking a snapshot. Correlational, which is looking for patterns. And experimental, which is the heavy lifter. The only way to actually prove that one thing causes another.
So if you're a student trying to survive a psych class, or just someone who wants to win an argument at the dinner table about whether violent TV actually rots your brain, stick around.
Yeah.
We're going to get into some weird stuff today. People with holes in their heads, guys who think they're Jesus, and why your boss walking past your desk makes you act differently.
Let's start with that first bucket you mentioned, descriptive research.
Okay, let's unpack this. Descriptive research. To me, this sounds a bit passive. Like, are we just people watching?
In a way, we are.
Yeah.
But it's sophisticated people watching. The goal here isn't to explain why something is happening.
Not the why.
No, it's just to get a clear, detailed picture of what is happening right now. It's a snapshot of the current state of affairs.
Okay, but a snapshot implies you're just looking at what's in front of you. What if what's in front of you is totally bizarre? This brings us to the idea of the case study.
Right. A case study is the ultimate deep dive into one specific person or maybe a very small group. Usually, we use this method when something so rare or, traumatic has happened that we couldn't possibly study it any other way.
Because of ethics. Right. You can't exactly bring people into a lab and hurt them just to see what happens.
Exactly. You can't tell a volunteer, hey, sign this waiver and sit still while I damage this specific part of your brain because I want to see if you stop being polite.
Which brings us to a name I feel like I've heard in every sci-fi horror context, but he was a real guy. Phineas Gage.
The legend himself.
Yeah.
If you want to understand why brain anatomy matters, you start with Phineas.
So, fill me in on the details here. I know it involves a railroad, but I always forget the specifics.
Okay, picture it. It's 1848. Phineas is a railroad construction foreman. By all accounts, he's a great guy, responsible, polite, hardworking.
A model employee.
Totally. And he's packing explosive powder into a rock with a tamping iron.
A tamping iron is basically a giant metal crowbar, right?
Essentially, yes. A 3-foot-long iron rod. A spark ignites the powder and the rod shoots upward like a missile. It enters his left cheek and goes straight out the top of the skull.
And he dies.
No, that's the crazy part. He stands up, he walks to a cart, he's talking.
No way.
He survived.
That is terrifying. But okay, he survives. I assume he wasn't, doing math problems after that?
Well, physically he recovered, but his personality was destroyed. The Phineas everyone knew was gone. He became irreverent, started swearing constantly, couldn't stick to a plan. His friends literally said, Gage is no longer Gage.
So the rod basically performed lobotomy.
In a crude way. It went through his left frontal lobe, and while it was a tragedy for him, it was a gold mine for science. It gave us the first real clue that the frontal lobe is the command center for emotion and morality.
So it was a descriptive record.
Exactly, a record of what happens when that specific part of the hardware breaks.
That is wild. It's like reverse engineering a computer by seeing what breaks when you pull out one chip.
Precisely. And researchers do this with psychological phenomena too, not just brain injuries.
Yeah.
There's another case study in our notes that is, well, it's arguably even stranger.
The 3 crises of Ypsilanti.
Yep.
I read this in the notes and I thought it was a joke setup.
Sounds like one. This was back in 1966. A psychologist named Milton Rokeach was working at a psychiatric hospital in Michigan. He found 3 different patients who all had paranoid schizophrenia.
Okay.
And they all suffered from the exact same delusion.
Let me guess. They all thought they were Napoleon.
Close. They all believed they were Jesus Christ.
Okay, so you have 3 men in one hospital who all think they are the Messiah.
Right. And Rokeach had this idea. He wondered, what happens if I put them in a room together? The hypothesis was that if you confronted them with conflicting claims, basically, I'm Jesus versus no, I'm Jesus, it might snap them out of it.
You think logic would force the delusion to break?
Yeah, that was the hope. That feels incredibly optimistic, I know.
Very optimistic. Hey, look, that guy says he's Jesus, so you can't be.
So he made them live together, eat together, work together.
Did they have a Spartacus moment? No, I am Jesus.
They argued constantly. It was chaotic. But, and here is the descriptive insight, they didn't cure each other. They just rationalized it. One of them decided the other 2 were crazy. Another one decided the other 2 were machines or dead, just to preserve his own reality, where he was the only real Jesus.
That is fascinating. It's almost like the brain has a defense mechanism that is stronger than reality. If the facts don't fit the story, the brain changes the facts.
Exactly. It didn't lessen their delusions, but it gave us a descriptive picture of how deep those belief structures go. You can't just talk someone out of their reality, even with undeniable proof standing right in front of them.
Which, if we're being honest, sounds a lot like arguing politics on the internet today.
It's uncomfortably similar. But this brings us to the big limitation of case studies.
Right, because as interesting as Phineas and the 3 Christs are, they are weird.
They are outliers. Case studies are descriptive, not predictive. You can't generalize Phineas Gage to everyone else because most people don't have iron rods in their skulls.
So it's a detailed story, but it's just one story. If we want to understand how normal people behave, like how people actually interact in the real world, we need to zoom out.
We need to see them in the wild. This is naturalistic observation.
Which sounds like we're filming a nature documentary. Here we see the college student in their natural habitat, the library.
That is literally what it is. You go into the subject's natural environment, a playground, a jungle, a shopping mall, and you just watch. You record behavior objectively without interfering.
Like developmental psychologists watching kids on a playground to see who shares their toys and who throws sand.
Exactly. If you bring those kids into a sterile lab, they might act shy or weird. But on the playground, you see the truth.
But there's a catch, isn't there? I feel like if I knew a psychologist was hiding in the bushes taking notes on me, I'd act differently. I'd sit up straighter, maybe pretend to read a smart book.
You absolutely would. That's the major issue with observational research. If people know they are being watched, their behavior changes. It's called the observer effect, or more specifically, the Hawthorne effect, but we'll dig into that specific story a bit later.
Okay, so we've watched people, we've interviewed the guy with the iron rod, now we have a massive pile of data. And this brings us to the part that scares every art student, myself included. Statistics?
Don't panic. We aren't doing calculus, we're just talking about descriptive statistics. It's just a way to summarize the numbers so they actually tell a story.
Right. We often hear about the normal distribution.
The bell curve. Imagine a graph shaped like a bell. Most people, the majority, are clustered right in the middle. That's where the average is.
Right.
As you go out to the edges or tails, you have fewer and fewer people.
Okay.
Think about height. Most people are around 5'6" to 5'10". Very few are 7 feet tall, and very few are 4 feet tall.
Here is where it gets really interesting for me, though. The word average, we hear it all the time in the news. The average income is X. The average house price is Y. But our source material has this great warning about the average trap.
It's the difference between the mean and the median, and it really, really matters.
Break this down for us, because I think people use them interchangeably.
Okay, let's use an example. Imagine you are in a dive bar near campus. There are 10 people in there. They're all broke students.
I can picture it.
The average income in that room is basically zero.
Painfully accurate. I've been there.
Suddenly, Elon Musk walks into the bar to use the bathroom.
Okay. The vibe changes.
Now, if we stop the music and calculate the mean income, that's the arithmetic average where you add everyone's money up and divide by the number of people, mathematically, everyone in that bar is now a multimillionaire.
What?
The average income of the room just shot up to like $100 million.
So if you just look at the mean, you'd think,
wow, this bar is full of rich people.
Right. But here's the catch. Did I suddenly get richer? Can I buy a round of drinks for the house?
No. You're still broke. The stat is lying to you.
Well, not lying, but it's misleading.
The stat is technically accurate, but it's descriptively garbage. The outlier Elon dragged the average way up. That's why when you look at things like income or housing prices, you have to look for the median.
The median is just the guy in the middle, right?
Correct. You line everyone up from poorest to richest and pick the person standing in the middle. In our bar example, the median income is still 0. Elon didn't move the middle point.
That is such a crucial distinction. So next time I hear the average salary in this company is $100,000, I should ask.
Ask if that includes the CEO's bonus package. If they're giving you the mean, they might be hiding something. If they give you the median, that's what the typical employee actually makes.
I love that. Be skeptical of the average. Okay, so statistics help us describe the snapshot, but describing things isn't enough, is it? We want to know relationships. We want to know if studying more actually leads to better grades, or if eating chocolate makes us smart.
Now we are moving into the second big bucket. Correlational research. We're shifting from snapshots to connections.
We're the pattern seekers now.
Precisely. Correlational research is designed to discover if two variables move together. We usually visualize this with a scatter plot, just a bunch of dots on a graph.
And there are a few ways these dots can move. First, the positive linear.
That's when two variables go in the same direction. When one goes up, the other goes up, like height and weight.
Taller people weigh more.
Generally, yeah. Or, for our student listeners, education level and income. Generally, the more years of school you finish, the higher your salary.
Okay, simple enough. Then there's the negative linear. This is like a teeter-totter. When one goes up, the other goes down.
A classic example.
Okay.
The age of a child and the number of diapers they use. As age goes up, diapers go down. Or practice on a task versus the number of errors made. More practice, fewer mistakes.
Now, here's the one that I think is crucial for anyone prepping for exams. The curvilinear relationship. Because sometimes it's not a straight line.
This is the Goldilocks zone. The best example is the relationship between anxiety and performance.
I feel this one in my soul because people say just relax, but if I'm too relaxed, I don't get anything done.
Exactly. If your anxiety is too low, meaning you don't care at all, you're bored. Your performance is low. You won't study.
Right.
But if your anxiety is too high, you're in a volcanic mode, your performance also tanks. You freeze up.
So you need that sweet spot in the middle. Moderate anxiety creates peak performance.
It's a curve. You need just enough stress to motivate you, but not enough to crush you.
But, and this is a huge but, we have to talk about the biggest trap in psychology. The thing every professor screams on the first day of class.
Oh yeah.
Correlation does not equal causation.
This is the golden rule. Just because two things happen together doesn't mean one caused the other.
Let's play with this. Let's look at a classic example from the notes. Violent TV and aggression in kids. The data clearly shows a correlation. Kids who watch a lot of violent TV tend to be more aggressive on the playground.
It's a positive correlation. The dots line up. So the natural assumption is...
ban the TV. The TV is making them hit each other.
Right.
TV causes aggression. Case closed.
Not so fast. We have a directionality problem.
Oh.
What if it's the reverse? What if kids who are naturally aggressive just prefer watching violent shows?
Oh. So the aggression causes the TV watching.
It's possible. But here's the real curveball. What if there's a third variable, a third wheel involved that causes both things?
Something we aren't even looking at.
Exactly. Think about the home environment. What if the parents are neglectful or use harsh physical discipline?
Okay, I see where you're going.
Harsh parenting might cause the child to be aggressive. And neglectful parenting might mean nobody is monitoring what the kid watches on TV.
So the parenting is the cause. The TV and the aggression are just two different symptoms.
Bingo. In that case, banning the TV wouldn't fix the aggression at all.
That is why correlation is useful for prediction. If I see lightning, I can predict thunder, but it can't tell me why the thunder happened.
To find the why, to actually prove cause and effect, we need the final and most powerful tool in the toolkit: experimental research.
The truth machine.
Let's call it the scientific method. This is where we stop just watching and start manipulating.
This feels a bit like a game. We have players on the board, we have the independent variable and the dependent variable.
Think of the independent variable, the IV, as the thing the experimenter messes with. It's the cause.
Okay.
The dependent variable, the DV, is the thing you measure. It's the effect.
So let's say we're testing a new smart pill that claims to improve memory. The pill is the IV, you give it or you don't, and the score on a memory test is the DV.
Correct. But you can't just give everyone the pill and see if they get smart. Maybe they just had a good breakfast that day. You need two groups, the experimental group who gets the pill and the control group who gets a sugar pill.
Now, this is the part I used to struggle with. Why can't I just let people pick? Hey, who wants to try the experimental drug?
That would ruin everything. If you let people choose, who is going to sign up for the smart pill?
Probably people who are already motivated or people who are worried about their memory.
Exactly. You'd get a biased group. You need random assignment. You flip a coin, you pull names out of a hat. This is the secret sauce of science.
Why is that random flip so important?
Because people are weird and different. Some are smart, some are tired, some smoke, some eat kale. If you randomize it, you spread out all those weirdos and normal people equally between the two groups.
It balances the playing field.
It balances the playing field before you even start. So if the smart pill group does better, you know it was actually the pill, not just because they eat more kale.
Right.
But even then, we have to be careful. We have to talk about the placebo effect.
Oh, the brain's magic trick.
It is powerful. If I hand you a pill and tell you this will make you focus, you will focus better just because you believe it helps.
So if the control group knows they're getting a sugar pill, they won't try as hard.
Right. And if the researcher knows who has the real pill, they might accidentally smile more when the smart pill group is taking the test. They might give subtle clues. That's experimenter bias. That's why the gold standard is the double-blind procedure.
Double-blind, like a spy thriller.
It just means that neither the participant nor the researcher knows who got the real pill and who got the sugar pill. The information is coded and hidden from both of them until the end.
It's amazing how much effort we have to go through just to stop our own brains from tricking us.
It really is.
You know?
Humans are messy subjects. And speaking of people changing their behavior, we promised we'd come back to the factory, the Hawthorne effect.
Yes. You mentioned this earlier, the idea that being watched changes us.
This is a classic story from the 1920s at the Hawthorne electric plant. It's a perfect example of why experiments on humans are so hard. Researchers wanted to improve productivity. They had a logical hypothesis. If we make the lights brighter, workers will be able to see better and they will work faster.
Sounds like solid logic.
So they brightened the lights, and guess what? Production went up.
Okay, so the hypothesis was right.
Well, being good scientists, they wanted to check. So they dimmed the lights. They made it darker than usual.
So logically, production should crash. You can't see, you can't work.
That's what should have happened. But instead, production went up again.
Wait, what? It went up when it was dark? Were they just messing with the researchers?
No. They worked harder because there were a bunch of guys in white coats standing there with clipboards watching them. The workers felt special. They felt observed.
It wasn't the lights, it was the attention.
It was the attention.
It brings us back to that idea of the boss walking past your desk. You immediately start typing furiously, even if you're just typing nonsense.
Exactly. That is the Hawthorne effect. It reminds us that humans are socially aware creatures. We aren't just lab rats reacting to cheese. We react to the context of the experiment.
So we have all these methods, descriptive, correlational, experimental. We have all these traps, placebos, third variables, Hawthorne effects. It feels like getting to the truth is really, really hard.
It is. That's why one study is never enough.
You can't just read one headline and say fact.
Never. One study is just a data point. To really know something, you need replication.
Yeah.
You need other researchers to do the same experiment in different labs with different people and get the same result. Cross-cultural replication. Does this psychology fact hold true for a student in Tokyo and a student in New York? Or is it just true for American college students?
Right.
We used to assume everyone was the same, but modern research shows culture shapes our minds in profound ways.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone on quite a journey here.
We have. We started with descriptive research. The snapshots. Great for detail and stories like Phineas Gage, but bad for generalizing.
Then we looked at the pattern seekers correlational research. Great for predicting if A goes with B, but dangerous if you assume A causes B.
And finally, the experiment. The only way to find cause and effect, provided you use random assignment, double-blind controls, and watch out for those confounding variables.
So listener, here is the takeaway. The next time you are at a dinner party or just scrolling your feed and someone hits you with a fact like, people who drive red cars get more tickets, don't just nod.
Be the skeptic. Ask the questions. Was this a survey? Was it a correlation? Or did they randomly assign people to drive red cars and count the tickets?
Look for the confound. Look for the third variable.
And I'll leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on. We talked about the third variable, the hidden thing causing the result. Think about that headline. Coffee drinkers live longer. It's a real correlation that pops up in the news all the time.
I see that one constantly. And I drink a lot of coffee, so I love it.
But ask yourself, is it the magic bean, or is it that people who can afford to buy a $6 latte every morning are generally wealthier?
And because they are wealthier.
They have better health care, they have gym memberships, they have lower stress levels, they eat organic food.
So the coffee isn't the hero, the money is.
It's very possible. So next time you sip that coffee, ask yourself, am I drinking the cure for death, or am I just drinking my own socioeconomic status?